Hey, good morning. It is Tuesday, June 18th. We're a little early today. I want to make sure that I get in at least enough time with Todd. It is Tuesdays with Todd. I have training this week, so I don't want to be late for the folks at work. And but I was really excited about this week's show with Todd because I have a couple of unique topics that I want to uncover and discover with him and get his insight on that. Todd is my nephew. He is my brother's son. Todd is quite the amazing, inspirational human being. I actually look to him to kind of lean on, although Facebook is our means of communication, and now this show, and some texting and social media, things like that. Todd, I know that he is an inspiration and a vote of strength for many people as well as me. So I always like to kind of pick his brain and get his insight on some of these things. Todd, exactly how do you say that? Are you every day you're in recovery, or are you recovered from substance abuse? How does that work?
This is my personal preference.
Okay.
Recovery is it's not something that never ends. You never graduate. So when you say the word recovered, it sounds like you're cured.
Okay.
And it's basically like cancer in remission.
Okay.
But I have to do certain things on a daily, and it's not like this big, sacrificial, religious thing that has to go down every day. It's basic things that I do to help me, keep me out of self. Selfish self-centeredness is the root of my problem. That kind of thing.
Okay.
But I am in recovery.
Okay. I didn't want to be disrespectful or be saying the wrong things, and so I wanted to be sure. So I'm really happy that you are, and in the process, you're not just in recovery, you're also helping others. So I really appreciate that.
I try.
I ran into, on my memory feed on Facebook the other day, a little interview. The interviewer was an ass. He was interviewing Steven Tyler. And he was just asking him crazy questions like, hey, do you wish you could, use again? And hey, do you go through this? And Steven Tyler did so good in responding to him. And he just said, yeah. He said, and he has sponsors on the East Coast, and he has them on the West Coast and in between, because he said there are times when he picks up the phone and says, man, I just, I really want to use. I really want to get, effed up. I really want to. Yeah. And so even though it's been years for him, he said, I liked this interview. He said, but what that does is that gets him divorces, that gets him broken up from his band, that gets him, yeah, I mean, it was just so, he's just so real and just so raw. And I really respect that about him, and being able to share as well, just like you are. So whatever our platform is, I appreciate it.
Anytime.
We were talking just a bit before the show, and I wanted to get right into it. I've been doing a little bit of reading, and I follow all of the air quote greats that are out there doing their thing, with podcasts, radio shows, books, all that good stuff. And there's one guy that he did this little video segment, and it was on, he was talking about how the odds of us even being born, how slim of a chance that is that we were even conceived. And I started thinking on a bigger, grander scale, if that's the case, again, and I do this to myself all the time, and I talk about, how they do those overhead views of the earth and how insignificant, my little space that I take up on earth is and how insignificant I am. But at the same time, it kind of lends into what I was just saying about you, that no matter what our platform, you've got Steven Tyler who has a gazillion fans and he's talking about his sobriety. And then we have our smaller audience on our little local scale that you and I talk about, and especially you. You've been doing stuff for years. But then, insignificant, but how significant we are. It's almost like the question, what are you going to do today? What are you going to put out there? Since it was such a slim chance that you were here, the odds of you being here on Earth, what in the hell are you going to do for the universe today? What are your thoughts on that kind of thing, Todd?
Well, it's as simple as, one thing, like you were saying, even about Steven Tyler, and there are many others, Robert Downey Jr. is in recovery. Excuse me, Anthony Hopkins is in recovery.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who you are. It's a very humbling thing, regardless of the fact. It doesn't care what kind of economic background, religious background, racial background you come from. The odds of you having alcoholism, addiction, so on and so forth. And I said it's not just substances; it's a variety of things. Mm-hmm. But just like our family, in a sense, mm-hmm. My dad.
Yep.
And Richard, and it's like duck, duck, goose, skip. It was. But not you, but in Cleo. It's right. Just, it's weird because you look at it like, well, why aren't all of us?
Yeah.
Because it sounds like something genetic or like this whole thing. It's just the way we were made, the way we were wired, and how it is. It's, my mom isn't, but, you go with my brothers, Matt and I, Duck, Duck, Goose, and Skip Brian. It's... It's something that for a while I tried to define, but on the same token, as the further along I got in recovery, the further I see, the more I see, I should say, what God's doing for me and what needed to be His plan for me, in a sense of this is what I had to go through, regardless of that, because I wouldn't change a thing. And it's funny you brought this up because this story is it almost sounds unbelievable. It just happened this week.
Okay.
I do my best to get on my roommate has a really nice mountain bike. Things like a little over $1,000 he paid for it. He never rides it. So I'll take it and I'll ride down I'll either go to local meetings or I'll, to keep my body in shape, or I'll ride to the sanatorium or I'll ride down to the gas station to get whatever I need.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fun and it's like being a kid again. So, I ride down to the gas station Thursday and I parked the bike, up underneath. I always park it underneath, front window where they serve people at night.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked in, and I couldn't have been in there maybe a minute. I asked for, what I normally get, and I come out, bike's gone. And I thought, you got to be kidding me. Now, I'm furious and angry, right?
Right.
At first. And this gentleman says, he goes, that was your bike, wasn't it? He goes, this kid just took it, gave me a description of the kid. So I run out to Chicago Falls Avenue. And I look down the road. He's just clear down the road. So I take off running like I'm literally going to catch him, right?
You're running.
With that thing, yes. And, to the best of my ability.
I mean, I'm just shaking my head that A, you're riding a bike, and B, that you're running. And for our listeners, if you're a new listener, Todd had an accident years ago where he literally fell and crushed every bone in his body almost, except for he was still able to speak and almost barely could do that. So I'm just sitting here. If there was a camera, I'm just shaking my head. So had to get that out there because I am in disbelief, but good for you. Okay, so you are on Cuyahoga Falls Avenue. Continue.
And I'm going down the road, and I call a friend of mine. I was right at the end of one of her streets, and I said, "Are you home?" And she said, "I just pulled in." And I told her what happened, and she flies down, picks me up, and we drive around, and we're looking for this bike. I'm just sick, you know.
Sure.
And everybody that's on a bicycle, I'm stopping.
Right.
The longer this goes on, the angrier I get. And I'm like, now I'm to the point where and I'm just being honest. I'm like, if I see this guy, it is going to be his worst day ever. No deal. Go home. I go back to the gas station, and I call the police. They have it on surveillance, and it's on camera. So I go home, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just all distraught, and I got to call my roommate and tell him what happened. As I'm sitting there, I hear these kids outside playing and whatnot, and I get up and go out and look, and I don't see nobody, so I go around the back, and I look out the back window, and would you know it, there's a kid that stole my bike, on my bike, right in the driveway, right dead next door to me.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I walked across there. Now, mind you, I had a few choice words that probably weren't, for the lighthearted.
Yeah.
But I didn't. Here's the thing. If this would have been a year ago, in which I was, over almost 4 years sober then, this shows how God's working in my life and changing. And what I'm getting at is, it took me a long time to forgive myself.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to forgive others for apologies I'm never going to get. It took me a long time to be able to forgive people for things that had happened in my past. What I hadn't worked on, and I guess this was just a natural order of things, forgiveness in the moment. At the time it happened. I forgave that kid for what he did. I don't know where he's from, what he's gone through, what this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah.
That right there was just as silly as this sounds. In the back of my mind, I wanted to hurt him because you hurt me.
Yeah.
And that's wasn't the plan for things. And like I said, I must have had to have gone through what I've gone through in my life, the alcoholism, the whatever it may be, for me to become the man I am today, regardless of the fact if I'm 46 years old, it took that long or whatever it may be. But we're meant to be here. There's a reason for us to be here, whether it's opening the door for someone, just being a better human being in general, smile at someone, quit letting the world feel like it's coming down on your shoulders. And I say this all the time. Life is happening for us, not to us. Like you just said, the odds of being conceived, we weren't born to be punished. Do bad things happen to good people? Yes.
Yeah.
And the way I got to look at that, they're like, well, how could there be a God or a higher power if this, that, and the other thing happened to people? Well, whatever happened to those people, the people that did that to those people obviously do not believe and or follow or live by that way. But some reason or another, they survived. Whatever happens up to that point afterwards is up to them. But we lead by example. We do what we can to give back. I truly believe in karma. What you put out there, you're going to get back tenfold. I can't pay back recovery enough. The people in recovery, the things they did for me, they did it for nothing. There was no money. They didn't get paid. They were just there.
And that's kind of like what I appreciate that, and that is mind blowing that we're talking about that. That happened to you, and I didn't know that happened to you. And then this is today's topic that I wanted to bring forth. I just really think it's something that if we're not thinking about this, I think that